Something I've noticed recently when playing retro games is how understated many decisions in game design are when compared to modern releases. I mean, how often does it feel like you're being voluntold to go on some side quest you don't care about in modern titles? Whereas classic games seem to be much more willing to let the player miss things if they're not actively looking for them. Older games had a much stronger focus on core gameplay, and the confidence to let the player decide how much effort they want to put into mastering a game is part of what makes them so appealing to me. Sega Rally 2 being one of them. Released 3 years after the seminal Sega Rally Championship, 1998 Sega Rally 2 ups the ante in nearly every area. There's more cars to choose from, a new suite of tracks to slide around in, and so on. Each car handles a little bit differently as well. The Ford Escort, Subaru Impreza, and Mitsubishi Lancer can all toss themselves into a slide with the slightest flick of the stick, whereas the Peugeot 306, as the only front-wheel drive car in the game, understeers so hard you'd think the controller's broken halfway through the first turn. Because of this, the tracks in Sega Rally 2 generally feel tighter than the ones in the original. There's a lot more hairpins to throw yourself into this time around, and with the more varied terrain over the game's 4 tracks, you're being asked to do a little bit more than your average racer. Make no mistake though, this game's pretty tough. If you're coming from tarmac-only racers, it'll take some time to get used to sliding around everywhere, and these time checkpoints are no joke. You're on the clock at all times, and if that clock hits 0 before you cross the finish line, that's game over, man. No continues. After failing to finish the game a couple of times, a good chunk of people will get frustrated and put Sega Rally 2 down, and that's fine. Most people can't bear the feeling of being bad at something for more than 10 minutes anyways. But for those who really want to sink their teeth into their games, who fall in love with drifting through the dirt like a dust devil, Sega Rally 2 offers a depth that most racing games can't touch. Because the more you play, the more you understand the game's relatively simple mechanics. You have a 4-speed gearbox, and shifting down a gear will throw you into a drift, helping you cut some of the tighter corners. Each gear has a defined top speed as well, giving you added control of your car's acceleration when entering and exiting turns. You also have a handbrake to lock the rear wheels, which you can use at hairpins when you need a sharper turn than a downshift would allow. And the sharper you turn, the faster you can approach the corner to begin with. And that's where the mastery of the controls completely changes the Sega Rally 2 experience. Some of the most fun I've had in this game is learning how to take corners at high speeds. It's like a test of how long I can mash on the gas before slamming into the wall. And when you get that perfect drift by letting off the gas, braking into the turn, followed by a tug on the handbrake, dude, you have no idea how good that feels. The presentation helps a lot with the general feel too. The jump from Model 2 to Model 3 arcade hardware gives Sega Rally 2 a leap in visual fidelity that shocked players in 1998. Tire effects like kicked up mud and snow are now modeled in 3D and actually splash into the camera. Spectators have to run to safety after getting too close to the action, calling back to the wild rally fans who pull stunts like this in real life. And those sounds, man.
200, easy right, easy left. 70, long medium left. Caution, press, jump, water. Checkpoint, 100. Medium right, long knee left. 50, caution, hairpin right. 70, caution, hay right.
The soundtrack is no slouch either. From the hard rockin' guitars on the desert stage to drum and bass and Japanese pop, there's plenty of variety on tap for this title. I can only imagine how immersive it must have felt for people playing in the arcades back in '98. The forced feedback on the steering wheel, the splattering snow, the sound of gravel rumbling beneath the floor. I really miss this kind of stuff. I miss a time when you could walk into your local burger joint with your buddies and try out the arcade games they'd have loaded up in the corner next to the pinball machines. Each race or shootout broken up by a batch of fries washed down with a Coke. I'm sure those types of summers were fun for folks who got to live them. I managed to catch the last fumes of that type of life when I was like, 8. SRC2 had home releases on both the Dreamcast and the PC in 1999, and were developed in tandem with each other, though it's unclear if one version served as the basis for the other. The Dreamcast port was specifically designed with Windows CE in mind, though some people blame the operating system for the game's performance issues. Yes, the Dreamcast port struggles to consistently hit its target 60 FPS in high-density areas, and the loss of background geometry is unfortunate, but there are some quality of life upgrades to be found here too. For starters, the lighting is more dynamic in the Dreamcast version, with dynamic light sourcing coming out of the exhaust, and varying shadow intensity depending on the stage. And of course, the home conversions have new game modes that one would expect, the addition of the 10-year championship being chief among them. 10 Grand Prix featuring all new console-exclusive tracks is sure to keep you coming back for more. The tracks themselves tend to be much wider than the main courses, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're easy. No, some of these later circuits might be more brutal than the arcade game, especially when inclement weather is sprinkled in. I swear, trying to race in the rain in this game is brutal. Not to mention the remixed stages with added fog, or a night version, or both. You have enough variety and challenge with 10-year championship that it almost feels like it could have been its own standalone game, especially with all the unlockables you get for completing it. There's so many cars you can win, it's kind of ridiculous. There's of course the 6 starter cars from the arcade original, with the Lancia Delta and Toyota Celica returning from Sega Rally 1. In addition to that, you get a car for every year of 10-year championship you win, plus 1 or 2 more for placing 7th or better in the arcade mode. Fiats, Renaults, an Alpine A110, and 4 different Mitsubishi Lancers. I mean, what's not to love about this lineup? And I know this is kind of a silly thing to praise. Like, yeah, obviously, the racing game is going to reward you for winning races, right? But it's done in such a nonchalant way that I actually find it pretty refreshing. When you win one, there's a short 5-second shot telling you that you can drive a new car, and then it cuts back to the results screen like nothing happened. And when you go to pick the new car, there's not even an animation showing off your new ride, it just is there. Maybe I'm glamorizing something that's a little unremarkable, but I think it takes a serious amount of confidence on the part of the developers to not make a big show out of themselves. There's just something cool about a game acting like it's already been there before, you know? And the part I really love? The game isn't forcing any of this on you. There's no characters giving you a rundown on what everything does, no tutorials on the controls or how to get better times. Hell, the game doesn't even have any notifications. It's so unconcerned with getting everyone on the same page. You play this game at your own pace, and Sega Rally 2 gets out of the way. It rewards you with new cars for playing well, and if not, hey, it's cool too. As for the PC port, in most respects, it's identical to the Dreamcast version. The major differences being an increased resolution and better performance. For reference, in the footage I've used for this video, shots using the Subaru Impreza were played on PC, the Toyota Celica on Dreamcast, and the Ford Escort on the arcade original. It's worth noting though that the PC port is still the most accessible way to play the game today. Thanks to the efforts of user Old New Pixel, a 25th anniversary mod was released in 2024 to get the original 1999 game running on modern hardware. Considering the amount of car and motorsport licenses involved, it's unlikely we'll ever see Sega Rally 2 released again, and that's a shame. So, taking advantage of a fan patch like this is one of the only realistic ways you're going to be able to experience the original PC native at-home release. And the 25th anniversary mod is excellent in its own right. It offers rendering up to 4K, a locked 60 frames per second, full compatibility with X input controllers, and plenty of other quality of life extras to suit your needs. And you can download it right now through Old New Pixel's post on Internet Archive. I'll leave a link in the description. In an age where games eat up tens, sometimes hundreds of hours of your time, I think there's something refreshing about a simple, short, replayable title. We don't get enough games like these from prominent developers anymore, and I think the loss of pick-up-and-play, high-skill ceiling arcade games has contributed to the erosion of the gaming landscape today. Replayable arcade releases have evolved into mindless mobile games you play on a bathroom break, and what used to be the meatier 7 to 15 hour home titles have ballooned into 60-hour bloated open-world cinematic experiences that waste your time walking and talking about nothing. Seriously, are these even games anymore? If I wanted a cinematic experience, I'd just watch a movie. So for me, this longing for old-school, arcade-style game design isn't just what keeps me coming back to Sega Rally 2, but other games with a laser focus on addictive gameplay that becomes more rewarding the better you get at them. And to me, knowing that I got a faster time or a higher score because I got better at a game will always be more fulfilling than sleepwalking through a side quest like a homework assignment or watching a stat screen change after a 2-hour grinding session. Not happy with that wording. So I say give games like Sega Rally 2 a shot. It still looks good, still plays great, and the extra stuff is only there if you want to play it. And with seemingly everything else these days demanding your attention, I think the best kind of game that you can play is one that respects your damn time.